Ethan Hale had never planned to live with an alien. When humanity joined the Galactic Coalition, shared housing became common on neutral stations. It saved space, saved energy, and forced different species to learn tolerance. Ethan accepted the assignment because it paid well and kept him close to the engineering decks. He expected noise, strange smells, maybe odd habits. What he did not expect was Salith. She appeared mostly human in shape, only taller, with smooth silver-blue skin and dark eyes that reflected light in a strange way. Her voice was calm, almost musical, and her movements were controlled and careful. She dressed in long, simple clothing that covered most of her body. The Coalition files described her species as gentle, diplomatic, and physically weak. Ethan believed the files. Everyone did. They lived together for 3 months without problems. They shared meals in silence or polite talk. Salith preferred nutrient gels, but sometimes she watched Ethan cook real food and asked careful questions. Ethan repaired station systems during the day and slept deeply at night. They respected each other's space. Salith was private, very private. She locked the hygiene chamber every time she used it. She scheduled her cleansing cycles late at night. Ethan assumed it was a cultural thing. Many species had strange rules. On the night everything changed, the station's gravity fluctuated without warning. Ethan was awake, working on a diagnostic pad in the common area. The lights flickered. The floor shifted slightly. A warning tone echoed through the apartment. "Local system instability," the station AI announced. "Manual override recommended." Ethan sighed and stood up. Something was wrong with the apartment's power flow. He grabbed his tool kit and headed toward the maintenance panel near the hygiene chamber. The door was not fully sealed. That alone was strange. Steam drifted out into the hall, shimmering with faint blue light. The air smelled sharp, metallic, nothing like water vapor. Ethan hesitated. He did not want to invade Salith's privacy, but station safety came first. If the power surge reached the wrong conduit, it could cause serious damage. "Salith," he called softly. No answer. The gravity shifted again. A spark jumped from the panel. Ethan cursed under his breath and pulled the door open just enough to reach the override switch. That was when he saw her. Salith was not standing under running water. She was suspended slightly above the floor, surrounded by flowing liquid light. Her body was changing. The smooth skin he knew was gone. Beneath it were layered structures like living armor, dark and pale patterns interlocking across her limbs and torso. Faint lines of energy pulsed beneath the surface, moving with purpose. Her spine extended slightly, forming ridges that looked both natural and powerful. Her arms were longer, stronger, ending in hands that could clearly do more than gentle tasks. She was not bathing. She was unsealed. Ethan froze. Salith turned. Her eyes widened, not with anger, but with fear. The liquid light collapsed instantly, flowing back into hidden ports in the walls. Gravity returned to normal. Salith dropped to the floor, breathing hard. Her body began to shift again, the armored layers folding inward, smoothing out, hiding themselves beneath the familiar outer form. But Ethan had seen enough. "I'm sorry," he said immediately, stepping back and turning away. "I didn't know, the station, there was a power issue." "I wasn't trying to." "Stop," Salith said. Her voice shook. Ethan stayed where he was, facing the wall, heart pounding. He had seen many strange things in space, but nothing like that. Not because it was frightening, but because it shattered everything he thought he knew. "I locked the door," she said quietly. "It should not have opened." "There was a system fault," Ethan replied. "I can fix it. I'll leave. I swear I didn't mean to see anything." There was a long silence. "You have already seen," Salith said. "That cannot be undone." Ethan swallowed. "I won't tell anyone." "That is not enough," she said. He turned his head slightly, just enough to show he was listening, not watching. "My people do not show our true forms," Salith continued. "Not in Coalition space, not ever." "Why?" Ethan asked gently. Another pause. "Because the last time the galaxy saw us as we truly are," she said, "they tried to use us." Ethan felt something cold settle in his chest. She stepped closer, though he could not hear her footsteps. "We were designed for war," she said, "long ago. Our bodies are adaptive, strong, resistant. We survived worlds that killed others, so they called us weapons." Ethan turned fully now. She was back in her familiar shape, wrapped in a simple robe, but her eyes were different, exposed, honest. "They enslaved us," Salith said. "Controlled us, deployed us. When the wars ended, they feared us." "So you hid," Ethan said. She nodded once. We changed our outer forms, we taught the galaxy to see us as fragile, peaceful, safe. And if they knew, Ethan asked, they would demand control again, she said. Or destruction? Ethan leaned against the wall, trying to process everything. The coalition files, the polite meetings, the lies. You're not dangerous, he said finally. Salith laughed softly without humor. That is not for me to decide. The station alarm sounded again, closer this time, a general alert. Unidentified vessels approaching, the AI announced. All residents remain in place, Salith stiffened. That will be inspectors, she said. They arrive when systems fail, Ethan frowned. From your people. Yes, fear crossed her face again, sharper now. If they suspect exposure. They won't, Ethan said immediately. She studied him. Humans lie easily, Ethan met her gaze. Humans protect their roommates. Something shifted in her expression, not relief, something deeper. Footsteps echoed outside the apartment, voices in a harsh, clicking language Ethan did not understand. Salith moved toward her room. You must forget what you saw, she said. I can't, Ethan replied honestly. But I can choose what it means, she hesitated. And what does it mean to you? He thought of the fear in her voice, the strength hidden beneath fear. It means you trusted me without knowing it, he said, and I won't break that. The door panel flashed, an external override request. Salith straightened her shoulders. The calm mask returned. Then be silent, she said, for both our sakes. The door opened. Two tall figures entered, their forms rigid, their eyes cold. They scanned the apartment, then Salith, then Ethan. Resident Salith, one said, report on system failure. Salith answered smoothly, her voice even controlled. She did not look at Ethan. Ethan stood beside her, just a human engineer in worn station clothes, hands slightly dirty with grease. To the inspectors, he was nothing important, but inside him, something had changed. He had seen the truth behind the mask, and he had chosen to stand with it. The inspectors stayed longer than expected. They moved through the apartment slowly, scanning walls, floors, air vents, and power lines. Their devices hummed with quiet energy. Ethan stood near the entrance, trying to look bored, like a normal human who did not matter. Salith stood near the table, her posture perfect, her face calm. Inside, she was anything but calm. Ethan could feel it. He did not know how, but the air around her felt tight, like a storm held back by force of will. The gravity failure was localized, one inspector said. His voice was flat and sharp. Unusual for this station. It is an old section, Salith replied. Human-built systems are functional but not elegant. The inspector's eyes flicked toward Ethan. Not angry, curious, dangerous, Ethan shrugged. We fix things when they break, he said. That's kind of our style. The inspector did not smile. Another alert sounded through the station. Louder this time. Red lights flashed along the corridor outside. Warning, the station AI announced. Multiple unidentified ships have exited slipspace within defensive range. The inspectors stiffened. That is not scheduled, one said. Ethan felt his stomach tighten. Those aren't coalition ships, he said. That trajectory is wrong. Salith's eyes widened slightly. Raiders, she whispered. The station shook as something hit the outer hull. A deep, distant impact that made the walls tremble. Pirate vessels confirmed, the AI announced. All security units mobilizing, civilian evacuation protocols active. The inspectors backed toward the door. This station is compromised, one said. Resident Salith, you will accompany us. Salith looked at them sharply. Now, you are coalition property during inspection, the inspector replied. You will be secured. Ethan stepped forward without thinking. She's a resident, he said, not cargo. The inspector's gaze snapped to him. Human, this does not concern you. It does when you drag my roommate out during a raid, Ethan said. His heart pounded, but his voice stayed steady. Salith looked at him, shocked. Ethan, stop. Another explosion rocked the station. The lights went out for half a second, then returned on emergency power. Screams echoed faintly through the corridors. The inspectors hesitated. We will regroup at Dock 7, one said. Move. They reached for Salith. She flinched, and for just a moment Ethan saw it. A flicker beneath her skin, a ripple of strength barely held back. Don't touch her, Ethan said quietly. The inspector laughed once. You are fragile human. Yes, Ethan agreed, but I'm not stupid. He slammed his hand down on the wall panel and opened a maintenance override he had installed weeks ago for emergencies. The apartment door sealed shut with a heavy clang. The inspectors spun toward the door, angry now. What have you done? One demanded. Bought time, Ethan replied. Another impact hit the station closer. The floor tilted slightly. The inspectors exchanged a glance. One of them raised a weapon. Before he could aim, the wall behind him exploded inward. Metal twisted. Smoke filled the room. The inspector was thrown forward, crashing into the table. The second inspector staggered back, stunned. Through the hole in the wall stepped something tall and armored, its shape jagged and heavy. Pirate boarding armor. Behind it, more shapes moved in the smoke. Boarding party, the pirate voice crackled through a translator. Secure valuables, kill resistance. The inspector fired wildly. The pirate shot back. The inspector fell. The second inspector tried to run. He did not make it. Ethan dragged Salith behind the overturned table as blaster fire filled the room. His hands shook, but his mind stayed clear. "We need to get out," he said. "Now." Salith stared at the fallen inspectors, her breathing fast. "They cannot see me like this," she said. "Not now." "Then don't let them," Ethan replied. He pulled out his pad and connected to the apartment's internal systems. "I can route power, seal corridors, maybe slow them." Another pirate stepped through the breach. Salith looked at the pirate, and then she made a choice. Her outer skin rippled. The polite, gentle shape collapsed away like mist. The armored layers unfolded with smooth, terrifying beauty. Her body grew taller, stronger, every movement precise and controlled. Energy lines lit beneath her surface. Ethan stared, not in fear, but awe. She stepped out from behind the table. The pirate froze. "What?" the pirate began. Salith moved faster than Ethan could follow. One strike, clean. The pirate hit the wall and did not rise. Another pirate fired. The shot struck her side and dispersed harmlessly across her armor. She advanced. "Salith," Ethan called. "More are coming." "I know," she replied. Her voice was deeper now, resonant. "Stay behind me." The next pirates rushed in together. They never stood a chance. Salith did not kill them in rage. She disabled them with controlled force, breaking weapons, knocking them unconscious, using strength with precision. Every movement showed discipline, not savagery. Ethan worked frantically, sealing bulkheads, rerouting power, opening escape paths. He guided fleeing civilians through side corridors, shouting instructions over the chaos. Human voices followed him, trusted him. "Engineering, this is Deck 12, a voice came over the emergency channel. "We're pinned down." "I'm coming," Ethan replied. "Hold tight." Salith finished disabling the last pirate and turned to him. "You are exposed," she said. "So are you," Ethan replied. "But people need help." She hesitated only a second, then she followed him. Together they moved through the station. Salith at the front, a living shield. Ethan behind her, opening paths, fixing doors, guiding people to safety. Humans saw her true form. They did not scream. They did not run. They followed. Pirates tried to regroup. They failed. Station security arrived late, shocked by what they saw. A human engineer giving orders. An alien warrior protecting civilians. When the last pirate ship fled, the station was damaged but alive. Silence fell slowly. Salith stood in a ruined corridor, her armor still visible, her breathing steady. Around her, humans stared, not in fear, in respect. Security drones hovered nearby, recording everything. Ethan stepped beside her. "You okay?" She looked at him. "I have broken every rule my people live by." "You saved lives," Ethan said. "That does not always matter to the galaxy," she replied. Medical teams arrived. Survivors whispered stories. By the time Salith finally allowed her body to shift back into its hidden form, it was too late. The truth was already everywhere, and humanity had seen it. What they chose to do with it was just beginning. The station had quieted. Red emergency lights still pulsed, and smoke lingered in corners where small fires had been extinguished. Survivors moved cautiously, hugging walls, checking on one another, whispering thanks to the human engineer who had guided them and to the alien who had protected them. The scene was one of calm after chaos, but for Ethan and Salith, the tension was far from over. Ethan's hands were still shaking from adrenaline. His uniform was scorched, his hair disheveled, and a thin line of blood ran from a scratch on his temple. He ignored it. He had bigger concerns. Salith's true form had been revealed to the station, to the humans, and even to security personnel. That revelation alone could have consequences far beyond anything he had imagined. Salith stood beside him, now in her usual outer form, her silver-blue skin smooth and serene. But her eyes told a different story, alert, calculating, and wary. The alien empire that had sent the inspectors would not be pleased. Nor would coalition authorities be comfortable with what had just happened. "Ethan," she said quietly, "you need to understand something. My species, my people, may come for me. They will not care about the pirates. They will care only that I have been exposed." "I know," Ethan replied, his voice steady, "and I don't care. You saved lives. They can't take that away from you." Her gaze softened for a moment, then hardened. "They will still demand control or punishment." The station AI interrupted, its calm voice in sharp contrast to the chaos before. "Emergency broadcast requested by Coalition Command. All residents must remain in designated safe zones until further notice." Ethan frowned. That meant the incident had already reached central authorities. News traveled fast in the Coalition network, and with footage of Salith in her full form, the galaxy would see everything. "Then we need to move quickly," Ethan said. He scanned the corridor. Some station sectors were damaged, others blocked by debris or lingering smoke. "I can get us to the observation deck. From there, we can contact Human Command directly. They're more likely to listen to a civilian engineer than to some alien inspectors." Salith nodded. "Then we proceed." They moved cautiously through the station. Civilians still recovering from the raid gave them wide berth, but Ethan noticed something remarkable. The whispers and glances were not filled with fear or suspicion. They were filled with awe and gratitude. Humans had seen the alien's strength, her courage, and had chosen not to panic. That quiet acceptance gave Ethan hope. They reached the observation deck, a large space with panoramic windows overlooking the station's docking area. Smoke rose from the hull below, but no pirate ships remained. Ethan immediately accessed the secure comm panel. "Coalition Command," he said, voice firm. "This is Engineer Ethan Hale, Station Delta 9. I am requesting immediate transmission priority. I need to report the situation." There was a pause, then a crisp voice responded, tinged with suspicion. "Engineer Hale, you are not a security officer. Your report will be evaluated through standard channels." "Not this time," Ethan said. "Lives were saved. A raid occurred. There are survivors, and one resident Salith demonstrated capabilities that were crucial to stopping the attackers. I am requesting a direct audience." "Now." Silence followed. Then, almost reluctantly, the channel opened. The face of Admiral Kor, a stern human with decades of service, appeared. "Go ahead, engineer," Kor said. Ethan exhaled. "Admiral, pirates attacked our station. They were armed and dangerous. The inspection team from the Salith delegation was present but did nothing." Salith herself, despite being inspected, defended civilians and disabled the attackers. She revealed her full abilities in the process. "I am reporting not only the raid but her heroism. I request that she be recognized, not punished." There was silence again. Then the Admiral's lips curved slightly. "You understand that this could be controversial." "I understand," Ethan said. "But I also know the people here, the civilians, have seen the truth. They will remember her actions, and they will not see her as a threat." Admiral Kor studied the data stream Ethan sent, including security drone footage. His eyes narrowed as he watched Salith's precise, disciplined movements, her full alien form handling the pirates with controlled strength, never harming more than necessary, protecting humans above all else. "Interesting," the Admiral said. "It seems humans may have underestimated your species' ability to act ethically, Salith, not just capable but moral, not weaponized for destruction but for protection." Salith tilted her head slightly. "That is all I have ever sought," she said softly. "To protect those I can without control or harm beyond necessity." "Then humanity sees what many feared," Kor said, "and that is your ally, not your enemy." The words, simple and official, carried more weight than Salith expected. For the first time in months, or perhaps years, she felt relief. Humans had seen her for what she was, and they had chosen to trust. "Engineer Hale," the Admiral continued, addressing Ethan, "you have not only saved lives, but also shown the galaxy a new perspective on the Salith. For that, I commend you." Ethan smiled faintly, a mix of pride and relief. "Thank you, Admiral. I only did what anyone would do." "You did what humans do best," Kor said. "Protect, improvise, and stand by one another." Salith's gaze softened as she looked at Ethan. He had chosen to stand by her, despite fear, despite uncertainty. And in doing so, he had shown the very qualities that defined humanity: courage, trust, and moral choice. The broadcast went live soon after, reaching coalition networks. Footage of Salith's actions circulated quickly, showing not a dangerous alien, but a disciplined, protective, and ethical being. Humans who had been skeptical or fearful began discussions across stations, fleets, and colonies. Opinions shifted. Strength was no longer automatically seen as a threat. Humanity had demonstrated that morality and courage mattered more than appearances. Meanwhile, the Salith Empire's inspectors who had survived the raid arrived in small, cautious pods. They expected punishment, control, or public exposure. Instead, they found their own species' members celebrated, not for beauty or compliance, but for bravery and wisdom. Salith faced them calmly. "I am no one's property," she said. "I am my own. I protect those in need, and I choose who I stand with." The inspectors looked around, seeing the humans and civilians who had survived because of Salith's choices. Murmurs passed among them. Respect, recognition, even admiration. Their species had taught them strength, but humans had shown them trust. "Perhaps," one inspector said softly, "there is more to alliances than fear." Ethan stood beside Salith as they prepared to leave the observation deck. The station, though damaged, was alive. Humans and aliens had worked together, civilians had survived, and a dangerous misunderstanding had turned into a lesson for the galaxy. "You did well," Ethan said quietly. Salith glanced at him. "You did more than you know. Without your guidance, the civilians would have been lost, and without your trust, I may not have acted so openly." Ethan shrugged. "I saw who you are, that's enough." For the first time, Salith allowed herself a small smile. "Then perhaps humanity is not as fragile as some believe." Ethan laughed softly. "Fragile, maybe, but stubborn, resourceful, and willing to do what's right when it matters most. That seems stronger than anything else." They exited the station together. The stars stretched out beyond the docking bays, a galaxy of possibilities and new alliances. Salith and Ethan walked side by side, equal in trust, equal in courage. The galaxy had seen humanity's choice, and it had chosen to stand with compassion, not fear. And for Salith, that choice made all the difference. She no longer hid who she was because humanity had already seen her truth and chosen to protect it. She had found allies in the most unexpected place, and a bond that neither inspection protocols nor interstellar politics could break. Ethan and Salith returned to their shared quarters, quiet now, but filled with the satisfaction of having survived, saved lives, and reshaped perceptions. Outside, the stars continued to shine, endless and patient. And humanity, for all its flaws, had shown the galaxy what it meant to stand with courage, trust, and honor. It was not the end of the challenges ahead, but for now they had won, not through weapons or domination, but through the simplest yet strongest qualities: humanity, compassion, and trust.